Okay, so I'm going to assume everybody can hear me. So if I'm not being audible, you can also drop it in the dialog box so that you know I would take correction. So today it's going to be, as I said, for those just joining in, it's going to be an introductory class to CSS, basic CSS, and yeah. So basically, what is CSS? CSS is a language used to style and format the layout of web pages. As you can see on the British Schools documentation, CSS is the language we use to style and HTML documents. CSS describes how HTML elements should be displayed, and yeah. So while CSS, provides basic structure of the website, such as headings, you know, paddings, paragraphs, images, and edge tags, as we saw in the last class. CSS is used to specify how these elements should appear. For example, the color of these elements, the fonts, things like that. CSS handles how they should appear basically. So yeah. So I'm guessing there's no questions for now because I've not seen any. But if you have any question, please don't forget to drop it in the dialog box. Yeah. And if you don't know how to access the dialog box, it's this, stuff here. So just write your message there. Okay, CSS is the abbreviation for Cascading Style Sheets. And just like HTML and JavaScript, CSS is one of the core, should I say technologies for the web, basically. It describes visual style, presentation, and how content is going to be written in HTML. So CSS consists of countless properties. There are a lot of properties which we'll be, getting to see in today's class. So a lot of properties about fonts, text, spacing, just layout. You don't need to know everything, but with time, yeah, and with more experience, you would know a lot, yeah. So let's go into the basic syntax. Okay, let me just use this now. So basic syntax for HTML is, as you can see on where my cursor is hovering over. For example, this body, just like the way we had elements and attributes on Tuesday in HTML. This body H1 and this P are called selectors. They select the elements, and like whatever is, like, we'll go into classes and IDs, but like they are basically selectors that work with elements that you have written in HTML to style it. So any way you want your elements to appear visually, you style it with your selector. Okay, so for this background color and this color, text align, font family, font size, etc. They are known as properties. So they are all properties in CSS that make, they're all properties in CSS. So for light blue, white center, Vedana, 20 pixel, whatever is after your property. it is called value. So light blue is the value for background color property. And this is the selector. H1 is a selector, and inside a H1 selector, we want H1 to have white color, which is the value we are specifying to the color property. And then we want the text to be aligned to center. There are a lot of, for example, text align, there are a lot of values under that property, which we'll be looking at later, but this is just like the basic syntax. So these two combined together, the text align and center, can be referred to as the declaration or the style. Can be referred to as declaration or the style, and everything here from H1 to the end. After H1, if you notice, we had these curly braces, and all our declaration were written inside. So everything here is called a declaration block. So a lot of these declaration blocks are going to make up our style. So I'm hoping you've been following so far. If you've been following, you can just drop a thumbs up. So yeah. Um, moving forward, let's go to the introduction. Um, I think I've covered the introduction parts already. Yeah. What I was just saying, yeah, this is the selector, these are declaration, and everything is a declaration property and the value. So reading our documentation says selector points to the HTML element you want to style. Just as I said, it gives you, it's like a pointer. It works hand in hand with HTML. In the last class, somebody was saying, can't you just create your website with just HTML? Why must you use CSS? And I think I made an example of a building. You can just have blocks and stay in your house. And if you have that kind of building, people will be like, why is this person in an uncompleted building? That building will be referred to as uncompleted. It's not as if it's inhabitable. You can live there, but it is referred to as uncompleted because it doesn't look appealing to the eye. So CSS is like your plastering, your painting, your roofing, your tiling if necessary. So that's basically how CSS is. So it works with, so if you do not have a block, if you do not have blocks, you cannot plaster. If you don't have your plastering, you can't paint. So it's like a layer. You have to have one to have the other. And HTML is the skeleton, like is the basic of it. So declaration block contains one or many declarations separated by semicolons. For example, we have color property that has the value of blue. If we want to write the next one, want to write a new property, we'll end it with a semicolon. In, what's the word? In convention, you have to go to the next line to write a new property. But this is just an example. When we start writing, after your semicolons, it's in convention that you move to the next line to declare your next property or declaration. Yeah. So each declaration includes a CSS property name and a value separated by a colon. Yeah. Before writing your value, there has to be a colon in between the property and the value, so that there has to be a colon. Then after your value, Just look at it this way: property colon value semicolon. That's basically it. Your property, your colon, your value, and your semicolon. So multiple CSS declaration are separated with semicolons, and declaration blocks are surrounded by curly braces. Yeah, as you can see, and as I mentioned, after your selector, you write your semicolon. That is like, so everything in semicolon makes up the entirety of your declaration block. So in this example, all P elements will be center aligned with a red text color. So this example is saying all paragraph tags should have the color of red, and they should be, the text in the paragraph should be centered to to center. Value there is center. So moving on, let's go to CSS selectors. So what are selectors in CSS? Selectors are used to find or select the HTML elements that you want to style. They are used to target specific HTML elements for styling. There are a lot of CSS selectors, and we'll be, checking them out soon. So there are a lot of CSS selectors, and yeah, checking them out. So here it says a CSS selector selects the HTML elements you want to style. CSS selectors are used to find or select, the HTML elements you want to style. So we can divide CSS selectors into five basic categories. There are simple selectors, which select elements based on name, ID, or class. We'll be giving examples soon of how they work. Then we're also going to look at combinator selectors. These select elements based on a specific relationship between them. And then you have pseudo class selectors. We select elements based on a certain state. There are a lot of selectors, pseudo class selectors, which won't be looking at pseudo class selectors today though, but we'll still look at it later on in the bootcamp. Then there are also pseudo element selectors too, and there are also attribute selectors. So basically, we have our element selector. Element selector selects HTML element based on the element's name. For example, in our code that we wrote last Tuesday, we have this heading, for example, and H1, H3, H6, all of them are elements, as we said in the last class. So element selector is going to say if you apply style to this div, element, for example, is going to apply to the div element. Like you're applying it element by element. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be, how will I put it? Doesn't have to be the parents. Like this div is the parent element to this H1. Doesn't have to, because we talked about hierarchy in the last class. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to call, it doesn't have to be parent, child, whatever. You can call your element selector for the parent, for the child, for the grandchild, whatever. So in this example now, if I add a style for my div, if I add a style for my div, using the element selector. Everything that has div in my HTML is going to carry that style. Okay, everything with div is going to, have that. So, for example, let me come to my okay, how to create your CSS file. Kind of skip that. So for those of us that are going to be coding along and how to create your HTML file, CSS rather. Because last class we looked into how to create the HTML file. So today we are going to be looking into how to create CSS. If you're on your VS Code, you see where I'm hovering on. You can see that you have the file icon. So you just click it, and just like we have the index convention for naming HTML, we also have the style. We also can name our CSS styles as per convention, by convention. So if you want to just write styles.css. So make sure you add your .css. Tell your VS Code that I'm writing CSS. So you just click your enter key and then to save. I already have mine here. So that's just an example of how element selector works. And then you have the ID selector. ID selectors uses the ID attribute of an element to select a specific element. The ID of an element is unique within a page, so the ID selector is used to select one unique element. This is just theory, so we'll be going into how to use the ID selector and pass selector. So before we come back to our CSS selectors, so for now we'll look into how CSS can be applied. So CSS can be applied to HTML in three main ways. You have the inline CSS, the external CSS, and the internal CSS. So far, does anybody have any question? Is there any question? If you have any question, you can just drop it in the dialog box once. Okay, Abdul Rashid, what is your question? Abdul Rashid, you are raising your hand, so I'm assuming you have a question. Okay, so I'll just carry on. So we have external CSS, internal CSS, and then we have inline CSS. So I would like to start with inline CSS. I would like to start with inline CSS. So an inline style may be used to apply a unique style for a single element. To use inline styles, add style attributes to the relevant elements. If you can remember, during our last class, we used the style attributes in our paragraph tag for our hello world, content. And I think let me open this port. Um, So we had this color applied to, you know, our hello world. So what we did here, by calling the attribute style and giving it certain color like font size, this is called inline CSS. So inline CSS is basically what we did on Tuesday. That's an example of, inline CSS. So as you can see on W3 schools, we have inline CSS added to our H1 and P elements. Our elements, and as we said, attributes are always added. Attributes are always added to the open tags, not the closing tags of elements. They're always added to the open tags. Alright. So note that an inline style loses many of the advantages of a style sheet by mixing content with presentation. Use this method sparingly. What it's trying to say is that, for example, you have a big, job you are doing. Let's look at this, for example. It's easy to read if you have, short lines, as you can see here. But imagine you want to style this H1 now. On our right style. Oh, Jesus, sorry. On our right style. And let's say we'll say color. We'll put this long one. I'm just giving examples of, how it will look messy in the end. We'll say font size larger, for example. We'll say font family, this one. So if you notice, your page is already looking shabby. It's more difficult to read. So that's why it is encouraged to use this, type of CSS sparingly. Like, don't use it much. Just use it small. Just use it when needed, when you need to apply a style directly. It's not really conventional, but people still use it. But it is advised that you use it, sparingly. So going back, I will look next at internal CSS. So what is internal CSS? An internal style are styles that are written within the style tag inside the head section of the HTML document. So an internal style sheet may be used if one single HTML page has a unique style. That is when you might want to consider using, internal CSS. So for example, you can see this and note that in reference to the last class, I said that whatever you write in your head tag is not going to be visible to the user. It is not for the user's, eye. So this also applies. That is why internal CSS is written in the head tag in between, the head elements. It is written there because you don't want your style. HTML is a loosely typed language. Like if you carry, for example, now, let me copy this style and Control C. I go and write it inside the body element. Where is it? I write it in the body element. I just paste it here, like that, and I save. If I go back to this, Where is it? Mm, Control S. Supposed to show. It's supposed okay. Usually, it would even show sometimes. It would show because it does not show error. It does not tell you that, oh, you're not supposed to be writing this where you are writing it. It would even show on your screen. So it's best you write, your style in your head tag. Like, please don't forget and go and write your style in the body to not be implemented. So moving forward, let me check if there's question. Uh, okay, please, guys, try to sign in for attendance. Attendance is crucial. Please, the attendance form is given in the in the dialog box. Just fill your attendance and yeah, and carry on. Okay, Farouk, you can state your question.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Sorry, on your screen I see something about style something on the inside the index.html. You wrote style.css. Like, is that how to like connect the
Yeah.
HTML to the CSS?
Where is that?
I mean, like on your
Yeah.
Visual Studio Code.
Okay, where?
Yeah. This, under this div, this navigation stuff, this paragraph style color. Yeah, this place. Yes. No,
Okay,
not there.
here.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this was an example of inline CSS. That link you are talking about is when we are looking at external CSS, which I'll be going to soon. This style is when you are writing inline CSS. Inline CSS is, for example, as I mentioned, let's look at this. Let me close this one. So this is for this paragraph, right? Yeah. Our color was for this, and we made the font size 50 pixel. So it is used when you want to maybe target a certain element for example, you get. It does not have to do with linking. You just write it in your HTML using the style attributes, and you give it whatever style you want to give it. I'll be going into how to link soon. That's the next thing I want to even talk about. So I'm hoping you are clear on this one.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, Issa Abdullahi, do you have a question? Okay, I'm guessing you don't. So moving forward, we are going to look at external CSS. Styles written in a separate CSS file and link to the HTML file are what are referred to as external CSS. With an external style sheet, you can change the look of an entire website by changing just one file. Each HTML page must include a reference to the external style sheet file inside the link element inside the head section. So what Farouk was saying is this: if you have a new CSS, file, you use your link, you know, to tell your browser, because your browser is seeing, should I see your HTML? So when you link it, is to say, oh, we have, a style sheet here. You're linking it together. You don't link your HTML to your CSS. You link your CSS to your HTML. So when we created this, I asked everybody to create their, styles.css. If you haven't created yours, Basically, how to do it is to just come to, hover on whatever you named your folder to be, hover on it, click new file. You see the icon there for new file. And then you write whatever you want to write, whatever you want to name your CSS. But by convention, just the way index.html, index is used to name HTML, HTML file. Styles.css is used to name, the main. Okay.
Isa,
Isa,
can you mute
you
your
have a
mic?
question?
Yes, I do have a question.
Okay, I'm listening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Well, good evening. It's
Good
about the
evening.
HTML. Are we done with the HTML today?
You say
That's what you are doing. Are we done
you,
with the HTML?
we are looking at CSS today,
Can
but
you
that
hear
does
me?
not mean we won't. We are still looking at HTML, but they both work together.
So,
So
sorry.
basically, we are looking at
Okay.
both. You say
So I'm a little bit confused. That's why I asked.
okay. Do you have any other question?
So, I don't have any question for now.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's move along. Please mute your mic. Isa, please mute your mic. Okay. So now that we have our CSS uh, file created, what we'll have to do to link it is to come here and link, let me see, link. So in here we can see the relationship of this link. Links have attributes, different attributes. One of the attributes is relationship. So the relationship of CSS and HTML is that, this link is a style sheet. Okay, just as I said, the full meaning of CSS is cascading style sheet. So this relationship, as you can see here, is saying the attribute names a relationship of the linked document to the current document. This attribute must be a space separated list of the link type values. Okay, so it's telling your HTML that it is the relationship between it that, okay, I'm linking a style sheet here. So what we have to do is that to link it is, as I said, depending on where it is in your folder. But once I just use this, I'll, I'm still forgetting what this is called. Then you just link your styles.css to your HTML. So basically, you've linked it. We'll be writing styles in our CSS soon. But let's still go back to our the W2 school documentation to check how it works out. So external styles are defined within the link element inside the head section of an HTML page. The link tag is always going to be called in the HTML within the head tag, not the body. People make this mistake a lot. Like, not because the tag does not mean you can call it everywhere. You get, so the link tag is called in, the in between the head tag, and it does, if you notice, it does not have a closing tag. It's just self-closing. Yes, one of the few self-closing tags that we have. You can also go home to check on self-closing tag. I think I won't drop that as an assignment. Yeah, let me write that down so that I will not forget. You know, you should check on all the self-closing tags so that in HTML. So I'll drop that as an assignment, on the Discord. Okay. An external style sheet can be written in any text editor and must be saved with a .css extension. For example, when we're using our VS Code, please, I'm hoping everybody's using VS Code. People were asking last time, can they use this? Can they use that? You can use it if everybody have their personal preference. In the course of this bootcamp, so that it will be easy for you to understand and follow along, please download VS Code. I take or beg you, download VS Code. Thank you. So the external CSS file should not contain any HTML tags. Yeah. When you are writing on your styles.css, whatever you are writing inside, please do not include HTML tags. HTML tags are supposed to be written in your index.html. Styles are written in your CSS. So that can be an error sometimes. You'll be like, but I wrote my, because imagine you have a lot of files, like you have multiple style sheets, multiple, HTML files. What if you mistakenly write, write some, H1 or something here. It's already flagging, that, oh, there's an error here. So it's already flagging. So as you can see, if you hover over this, expected CSS, curly braces are expected, not tags. So please, don't write tags in your style sheet. Then here's how the my style CSS file should look. So that is just, how CSS styles are written in general. So does anybody, okay, Tali, you have a question?
Not actually. I just want to remind everyone that their attendance link is on the comment section.
Okay, everybody, please write your attendance. It is necessary and it is important to please write. There will be reward for attendance. So, um, so I am assuming there's no questions so far. So going back to our selectors, I spoke about the element selector where you select an element, for example. So let's say in this our index.html now, we we want to make our body to have maybe a background color of, let's look for a shabby color, orange red. So it's not like the color is bad, but for UI, it's really not visually appealing. So let's say we save it and then we go back. You can see that everything inside the body is now orange red. Why does that happen? As I said, with your element selector, if, for example, you call, you know, your body, the body tag, for example, the, the body element rather, everything inside, everywhere that there's a body is going to be affected. Let's say now, let me change it. Let me use let's say our H1. I target the H1. I say for all my H1, they should have a font size of 100 pixels, for example. And then I go back and I can see that how many H1s do I have here? I have one H1. So I can only have one H1. Oh. Let me add more H1s. Uh, let me put the H1 here. H1. Um, I I hope we are all coding along. Uh, and I save this and I go back. I'm going to see that because I have said I've specified that in my style, anywhere you see that a content is wrapped around the H1 tag, the H1 elements, make sure that the font size, that is the size of the text, that's what font size means. Font size means the size of the text. Make sure it is 100 pixels. So anywhere, for example now, this italic text we looked at that day, we write H1 here and we save. It is now 100 pixels because that's the style we have applied to the element. So anywhere HTML it is anywhere that we call has the H1 tag rather, it will be 100 pixels. Whatever style we apply. What if you signed it? Yeah, please, if you signed during the module section, please sign in again. It's not everybody that can attend both classes, some people attend one or two. Just to keep track of it, please. Whichever class you attend, please sign your attendance. So that's that. So moving forward, we, as I said, have the ID selector. ID selectors, they make use of the ID attributes of an HTML element to select a specific element. The ID of an element is unique within a page. So the ID selector is used to select one unique element. To select an element with a specific ID, write a hash character followed by the ID of the content. Let's say in our code, in our HTML, we have maybe ID of what segment. Let me use this as an example first. Let's not use IDs for now, because we'll deal with IDs later. But let's say we have this ID in our paragraph, set this as an ID. When we are styling it, this is internal CSS, but imagine this was external. And you want to style it. To target your ID, you use your hashtag before writing the ID name. So that is how IDs work. That's how styling like ID works out. Okay. So then we have the class selector. The class selector selects HTML element with a specific class attribute. To select elements with a specific class, you write a period character. So just for example, we have this one to be the ID to be params. Then we have the class to be, I don't know, what should I even write it as? Params H1, for example. You can just go to your style sheet. If you wanted to create, style for params now, which is an ID, in the ID attribute. ID attribute, note the ID and class attribute selectors, right? Yeah. They target attributes. Element selector is to target elements. ID and class selector is to target attributes. ID is not a tag. Classes cannot be a tag, they are attributes. Note that. I feel like it would be easier if you have that like at the back of your mind. Whenever you hear ID selectors, think of it as an attribute. Elements is to target certain elements, and whatever element tag call going to take effect wherever that element is in your HTML. But for ID and class selectors, they work with the ID attributes and the class attributes. So please take note of that so that you'll not be confused. So if I wanted to call style, my ID of params, this is just what I would write and give it my style. If I wanted to, what's the name of my class in my H1? Let's say params H1. For writing it, I would put like a period, a dot before writing it. Just to let your CSS know that, oh, this is a class. Moving forward, we'll talk about why class and ID selectors are necessary. They all have their role to play, depends on what you're styling. But moving forward, we'll see. This is just an overview of how they work and their basic syntax. So what else? Note that a class name cannot start with a number. Please, a class name cannot start with a number. They should always be text. Should always be text, so it cannot be a number. Okay, no questions yet. Now we go into universal selector. Universal selector select all HTML elements on a page. Moving forward, at some point, we'll talk about selector, should I say hierarchy. Universal selector is the strongest. Let me put it that way. Whatever you set, if you use this denoted by this star symbol, whatever you write inside, whatever declaration you call in your universal selector is going to take effect everywhere. We're going to be seeing how when we start writing, we'll see how strong this universal selector is. It's going to take effect everywhere in that particular style sheet. So yeah. Moving forward, we have the CSS grouping selector. The grouping selector selects all the HTML elements with the same style definitions. So, excuse me. Looking at the following CSS code, the H1, H2, and P element have the same style definition, it would be better to group selectors to minimize code. To group selectors, separate each selector with a comma. So for example now, we want the H1, want H2, and want P to be aligned to the center, and we want their color to be red. Instead of writing it and repeating yourself, one of the basic principles of writing code is the dry principle, to not repeat yourself. If there's a way you can write without repeating certain things, do it that way. It's just that, it's just to show that you are a good developer and you know your onions. So yeah, do not repeat yourself if possible. So since we want our H1, H2, and our P elements all look alike, we'll just H1, comma, H2, comma, and our P, and then we give them this value. So once you give this to them, everywhere with H1, H2, and P, we'll have whatever declarations we asked in between our curly braces. So those are, that's overview of CSS selectors. So that's that. Now moving to CSS comments. Last class, I mentioned what comments were. I said that they are not displayed in the browser, but why CSS comments are used is, let's say in my code now, I want, maybe I'm writing this for beginners too, and they don't really understand what all these, tags are. I'll just write in my CSS comment. I think CSS comments should be some HTML is something, yes, something like this. In VS Code, if you want to get comments written without typing it out, all you have to do is click Control slash, yeah, place that has the slash and question mark button. I think that works for Mac and Windows and Linux. I think for Mac it's just command slash or something like that. So it depends on what you are using. So whatever I write here, I'll say this is to illustrate. This is to illustrate H1 strong and bold elements. So whoever is coming to read what I've written, to read my code, will know that, this block of code that is here is to illustrate H1 is strong and bold elements, because I've already written it. Note that this will not appear in your browser. I'm saying this once again. I'm repeating myself. It will not appear in your browser. So if you go to our browser and we scroll, we cannot see anywhere that says this is to illustrate H1. For example, this place we said this text is italic. If we comment it once again, the shorthand, do it sharp sharp. Just come to the line you want to comment. Just click on the line and then you just control slash. I'm hoping this is called slash. Okay. So that's that. Going back to our documentation, you see that CSS comments are not displayed in the browser, but they can help document your source code, just like what I just illustrated. Yeah, I forgot to write out CSS. Don't forget to control save your work too. CSS comments look like this. They look something like this. This is the syntax. You just have a slash. Where is my star symbol? Star. Star. And maybe you can write hi there. And you have your star slash. So it is just, that is the syntax for the comment, slash star, whatever you want to write, or star slash. So for example now, I want to, excuse me, for example, my H1 declaration, I don't want to use it again, and I don't want to delete it, because what if I might need it again? I'll just, highlight the whole declaration block plus selector. So this takes, this controls like multiple line code comments. You just control slash and then comment everything. And if you want to remove the comment, you just highlight it the same way and then same control slash again. So I'm hoping we are all following, and I hope we are all coding along. Let me check if there are questions so far. No question. Okay, I'm hoping that we are all. So, okay. Thank you, Farouk, for your reaction. Okay. Comments are used to explain the code, and they may help when you edit the source code at a later date. Comments are usually ignored by browsers, as I mentioned, to not appear in your code. Your browser will not like will not be able to, should I say, see it in a sense. And a CSS comment is placed inside the style element and starts with slash star and ends with slash star. I don't know this documentation. CSS comment is not placed inside the style element though. Hey, this is the first time I'm saying W3 schools saying something wrong. These comments are not placed inside style elements. You can place them anywhere, but they actually start with your slash star and end with your star slash. Slash star, your content, and then your star slash. If this was open source now, go and make changes to this documentation. Oh, wow. Okay. What was I? Where was I? Comments can also span multiple lines, just as I have shown. You can span across through multiple lines. There are multiple line comments, just as I showed previously. So, moving forward, let's take a look at CSS colors. As I mentioned in the last class, colors are specified using predefined color name for RGB, hex, HSL, RGB, HSL values. To be honest, I don't know much about all these other values. I use hex values. And one of the advantages of using values like hex values is like, as I said in the last class, imagine red now. You have tomato red or pepper red. I don't know, steel red, whatever. They have a lot of red shades. Some that might not even be known to you as a developer. And you now, when you come to, let's say you come to the British school and you're trying to create this their page, but then this red not see tomato, and then you will now go and write red. Red is sharper than tomato red. Normal red is sharper than tomato red. So if you use red instead of tomato red, you will not get the correct shades. And it's necessary you get the correct shade. So hence that help you to get correct shades as correct as possible. So that. I will drop resource on colors. If you want to know more about colors later, we will be deep diving into colors in this class. So I'll drop resources on this channel. If you want to know more about colors, you can read about it. So, CSS background color. So there are a lot of color related properties in CSS. And for example, we have the background color property. Background color sets the background color for HTML, LLM. Basically, that's what it does. For example, when we made our body to have background color. Background color of let's say aquamarine. Now you can see that the background has been changed from white to aqua like color. I have a question. Okay, Farouk, please. Thanks for your question. What is it, please?
Thank you very much. Thing is, I tried changing the color now, but then it's not changing. Maybe thing is, am I supposed to like create another what's it called selector, or am I supposed to like put it inside the same H1?
Okay, which one are you using? Is it H1?
Yes, I'm using H1. Am I supposed to create another one?
No, it's the same. It's the same. It's for this font size to change font size, right?
No, no, no. Like to add color. I mean something like
Can
this.
you share me your own screen? I don't know.
I think the problem is facing is related to. I think probably he style he use inline style. You know, inline style take priority over the others.
Yeah, yeah. Please let's clap for our submit to Yunus to try. Yeah. But check it. If you are not able to get, you're not able to, correct it after the class, you can send a message to Yunus or me. Please send it to Yunus. Please send it to Yunus, please. Yunus, please
No,
drop your number
no.
so
Let me
that
ask: Did he style it with inline styles?
So
Farouk,
what? Yeah, yeah, I'm here with you. How do you
do
say?
you use inline style? I say,
No,
do you use inline style for the same thing you are trying to style?
no. Sorry,
Okay.
by
Don't
like
worry.
by
After
like.
the class,
All right,
after the class.
all right.
okay.
Thank you
So
very much.
after the class, we'll, look into it. It's good to know that people are following, hands-on and stuff. People are, coding along and stuff. So it's a very good one to know. So that's that. So looking at other color parties, we also have text color. Text color, as we can see, is that you can set the color of text basically. So for example, if you want to change a text color, the property for changing text color is denoted by color. You don't use text color. Just like we had this our H1, want our H1 to also have a color of, let's say, 45. Let me put it to a sharp color, something sharp to easy to use. So to go back, you can see that all our H1s now have this lemon green color. It all has it now. That's to say that we change the color for the text. Note that colors have different properties. If it is background they are trying to change, we will use background color instead. So if you are using VS Code and you just want to, if you notice as I'm writing, VS Code is giving me suggestions. So the suggestion for background color is just BGC. Write BGC, you see background color, just click it and yeah, whatever you want your background color to be, that's what it will be. That's what it will be. So yeah. So let me see. So if you notice now, the background color of our H1 is now one very shouty blue, royal blue looking. I don't know the shade. That's why I like using hex color. So that is that. So for if you want to write for text colors, you write color. If you want to change background color, use the background color in your property. So going back, for border color, last class we created a border around our, where is it safe? I think around our table. Where did we create that border safe? Yeah, inside this div created the border. So this is inline CSS as I mentioned today, and this is a shorthand for writing border, starting with the width, style, and the color. So you can also set border color. So that's that. Border colors too also there. So color values can also be specified using the other color properties. There are a lot. When it comes to CSS, in quotes, properties joke, like a lot of properties for CSS. Just try to, with a lot of practice, you would, gain mastery of it and be able to have to know a lot. Basically. So in CSS, colors can also be specified using RGB values. So, for example, RGB values are very, very RGB values too are also nice to use, meaning that you can control, should I use the both opacity or the elements. For example, this is tomato red. We have our tomato red color. If you are using hex, color, whatever, with FF6347, but then maybe you want it to be more transparent. Maybe it's a background color and you want the background to be a bit too transparent and want to use RGB or HSL values. So they have their, I think, 255. This first one is to, I think, alpha. They have the way they are denoted. I think the last one is for opacity, to control opacity and so on, stuff like that. As I said, I'll share resources for colors and how they work and stuff for later. Okay. So moving forward, have backgrounds. There are a lot of things, a lot of properties. Check out CSS. So CSS background. In this coming chapter, you will be able to learn about CSS background color, background image, background depicts, background attachments, background position, and shorthand property. Background. That's the way I introduced us to shorthand property of border when you want to specify any property. So if you did not want to use the, border property now, for example, let's say on our P element, wait, this was under our P, this was on div. Let's say we want to give all the tabs border. We could use border and use thank you, say border. You start with the bits, maybe 10 pixel. This is 10 pixel solid. If we were to use, if we don't want to use the shorthand property, we could just use border width and limit to 5 pixel. Then border, I think style, yeah, border style, solid. And then we'll now come and write border color and write. So shorthand properties help us to just write the whole thing. But you can decide to not use it, honestly. You can really decide to. So for properties like background, it also has the property, the shorthand property for background should be looking out. But for now, let's wait to background. So first of all, looking at the background color, which is talked about earlier, I won't be going back again into that. Background color property specifies the background color of an element. Background color of a page is set like this. Yeah. So if you want your page to have a background color, it is best to specify it in your body element selector, so that your page is taking effect on your entire page. It's best to want your background color of your whole page. Just like this the Twisters page now, the background color for everything is white. So if you want to set that, best set your body, because all your HTML is written in your body. So it's best you set it in body so everything that is in the body. I think that's basically what it is. Fitech and Twitter and Lisa, please, this question they are asking, can ask it to the group later, or if you are talking about my own handle. I don't think Fitech does not have an Instagram and an Instagram. They just have Twitter and Discord for now. Maybe in future will be an IT. For now, just Twitter and Discord. They are asking for my handle. Okay, let me just write it here. So you can follow me on Twitter. You can check. I even need more Twitter followers. Follow me. So this is my Twitter handle. You can check it out if you want to. Okay. So you can check out. If I need more followers on Twitter, follow me, guys. Please, thank you. Uh, where were we? Background color. So next, we'll be looking at, let's keep what is capacity stuff. We have to do with colors. Oh, God. We have to do with colors. We'll come back to data. So let's go to background image. So for example, we want our background. We don't want our background to be color. We want the background to be an image. We can make it in a way that our background should be an image. Let me see there's something that has their background as an image. I don't know. There's none here for now that I can see. But there are times that, for example, now you can see the footer of this deputy schools page. This thing, like all this stuff here, this astronauts, works, whatever. This is a background. So it was called here, and the text was written on it. So if you don't want a color to be your background, then have an image, one as your background. That is how your background image comes in. So background image property specifies an image to use as the background of an element. By default, the image is repeated, so it covers the entire element. So when you want to set the background image, let's use URL. So um, let's say have on our body, we want it to have, want to give it a background image. Want to have a background image of URL. Then we add our inside our assets. Want to have that our goods picture that we access. Then when we come back, we are going to see that our website is full of goods. So we won't be going into details of how to style background images. Just over. We'll use images in future. I'm not trying to give you basic overview of how and how some of these properties of this declaration work. Note that when using a background image, use an image that does not disturb the text. Yes. For example, that our go to page was just very colors and much, and you cannot, it's not even readable. But for example, this the British push footer, how the image blends with the text. If you use a white text on this image, it is readable, you can see it. But for that picture of that goat with books now, can't read what is, and that is bad. That is bad practice. So that's basically what I'll be talking about for now on background image. If you have any questions so far, don't forget to ask. Yeah, please, you guys should subscribe to our YouTube channel. Recordings will be posted there, and as you are watching those recordings, please also subscribe. Please. should all subscribe to it. Thank you guys in advance. Now, CSS background. Oh, somebody trying to say something.
It's about the YouTube video. It's not clear.
Okay, the YouTube video.
Yes, the recording of yesterday. Sorry, told you on
Yes,
Tuesday.
the
It's not that clear.
recording.
Yeah, it's not that clear.
Okay, the recordings are not clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will talk to.
And some of them have eye problems. So that we need something that is very that our want to see.
Sorry, please, can you be more audible? You say?
I don't know whether you guys are going to organize some videos for us so that we'll be checking it.
Yes. There are videos on YouTube. If the YouTube videos are not, clear enough, I would
It's
speak
not that clear.
to.
It's not
It's
that
not
clear.
that
Yes,
okay. No problem.
I rewatch your video on Google.
Yeah.
It's not that clear. So I decided to
All
skip
right.
it because I'm not seeing it.
Okay. No problem. So that there will be some sounds, whatever filters or whatever. I don't know how they do all those things. I'll speak to the community manager about that. So don't worry. Hopefully from today you will get your clear and thank you very much for the observation, sir. That means you are following enough to even check the YouTube page. That is very lovely. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. So moving along, where were we? The background image repeats property. CSS background repeats. By default, the background image property repeats an image repeats an image both horizontally and vertically. Some images should be repeated only horizontally or vertically, or else they may look strange. If the image is okay, let's see the example they are talking about. Look, if you notice, just like when we use this goat image, this is what they are talking about. Like when we use this goat image, when we came here, you can see that this image keeps repeating itself because we've not set certain properties that make it not to repeat itself. So that's what this is talking about. So it's a strange looking background image. Yeah. So if the image above is repeated only horizontally, the background will be better. To repeat an image, so to repeat an image horizontally, use repeat X, and then if you want to repeat it vertically, use repeat Y. So showing the background no repeats, CSS background repeats no repeats. The property is background repeats and we do not want it to repeat. So for example, our goats background repeats. We do not want the image to repeat. So when we come here, okay, we can see that the image is the body, but it is not, repeated. But this is not all we do to make it, if you can see it's not covering the whole body. There are still more styles you can add for it to cover the whole body. But if you say the image should not repeat, it should just be in the exact same, it should be in the exact same width and height as you got the image when you started, when you exported it. So that's that. So just be in its container in post. Look at that. Let's even hurry along. Already 4:32. So background position. Yeah, the background position property is used to specify the position of background images. So there are a lot of values for it, and you can use right, you can use left. For example, this example is saying right top. That is, if you use right top, let me use that now. Background position, right, and we use top. It's going to be at the right and top of our page. This is looking not so visually appealing. For the end of this class, we would create something appealing. So okay, color and CSS resources. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Yunus. Thank you. You've been a great help, honestly. Um, so Yunus has posted color sources, color CSS resources on the Discord channel. Please, if you are finding it hard on what to name colors and stuff, the HSL values, the hex values and stuff, and check out that resource. Isa, you said you are lost on CSS. Is there something you don't understand? Please ask your question. I'm listening. Isa, are you there? Okay, let me try. Okay.
Yes, I'm there. I joined the class around 3:25.
Okay, so you don't get a lot of things, right?
Yes,
This
yes.
is why we are encouraged to come early, guys.
No,
Please,
it's
let's
not. We
be
have poor internet connection.
okay.
I
Oh,
tried to
that's true.
send you
That's true.
something.
Yes. It happens. It happens. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. The call will be recorded. And if you have any question, please don't forget to ask me. You can ask me, you can ask any of the sub mentors. You can ask Yunus, because sometimes I might
Yes.
be busy and you can ask any of the sub mentor that is free. You can also drop it on the Discord channel. If
Okay.
you drop it on the Discord channel, I think later, if there's any sub mentor on the call, I'm guessing all our sub mentors are on the Discord channel. So I think it should also be dropped, maybe pinned. Let's be a pinned chat that okay, this is the Discord name for all our sub mentors. So you can reach out to them. Any of them, they will answer you. So yeah. Okay. But before the
Okay.
end of this class, I also give a recap. I can't go back now. Sorry, because we still have a lot to cover today. I'm hoping time will even permit us. So yeah.
So, are we to finish the CSS today?
No, we are not finishing CSS today. We are not. Just have a
Yes.
lot of things with CSS
Or just
to
the
cover.
brush things. Or just brushing things, the basics.
Yes, it's just the basics.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right,
Thank
all right.
you.
Moving on. Um, let's go to background attachments. Let's check out background attachments. So the background attachment property specifies whether the background image should scroll or be fixed. Yes. So as I said, when we're setting background image, when we said for it to not repeat, it just covered, a specific part of the page, cover everything. So for you to tell it to let me not explain too much. Let us go back to the documentation for now. So specify that the background image should be fixed. You use the background attachment fix or scroll. Hey, but I was giving the wrong properties here. So if you set a background attachments E scroll. Let me just put it this way. That's wrong. They put it to be simple as they are scrolling. That's not sure. Okay. Let me use fixed instead. Fixed give us a better visualization of. So if we set it to be fixed and we come here, if we move from A to C, you can see that the image is still there. It is fixed on the page, it does not move. So we'll look more on how to increase background image and stuff like that. Rain is going to follow right here. Okay. So before we move on to every other thing, every other properties on CSS, I made a short note that I would like to read. So this is like the cascade and specificity. Oh God, specificity. Yeah. So styles are in order. So CSS styles are written in order. This is meaning that the styles are applied in hierarchical order. For example, let me give you a short example of what I mean. When we write our HTML, when we started writing, I gave us like fundamental tags like the head, body, footer. If you want to maybe style elements in the footer tag and also the body, you don't write footer or body. It's not like it will not work. But as a developer, and if you want to come back to the code I've written, I'm going to guess that whatever style you put for this first H1, let's say I call this class of main header, and the other H1 here, I give it a class name of subheader. If I am writing my styles for H1, since main header is coming first, I don't want style main header, subheader. How like it? I don't style subheader for styling the main header. Let's put it that way. It is done in hierarchy to ensure better readability, like let's be easy to read and understand. Yes. Okay, good question so far. So that is one of the examples. And we saw, can you please send us a screenshot of your coding? That will help us a lot from the HTML and CSS class. All right. So I've been coding along, and some things I'm also canceling them to rewrite again. Hey, you know what? Just be following hands-on, because before we end this class, we are going to, style a particular form. So from that, if you're not coding along in the beginning, you can code along now. Please, we have to try and, this is 4:43. So we have kind of like an hour left, which I want to use to still explain certain things and also have a little hands-on session. So if you have not been following, you can follow then. All right. So Where was I? I was talking about hierarchy. And if you notice, when I was writing my styles for um, the body elements, I made sure the body was before H1. This is because body is called before any H1. Like, let it be that whichever one is called first. Because when I'm reading this, I'm reading the body. There's a body tag for H1. So as a developer that is reading your code, I'm going to assume that your body is your styles for your body is coming before H1. It is not conventional that you take your body and put it after the H1. H1 cannot be on top of your body. Like your body styles. So yeah, please note that. That is one of the issues of hierarchy. And if you notice how I selected all my code and I'm just moving it upward or downward. If you want to do that, I think a shortcut for that, I don't know, for Windows and Linux is Alt up arrow, the arrow that's pointing. So you just Alt and yeah, get that done for you. So that will move pieces of code upwards or downwards, depending. Um, so yeah, no color, no question for now. So reading about specific hierarchy. So CSS styles are applied in hierarchical order. When multiple styles are applied to the same element, the browser decides which style takes priority based on specificity and the order of rules. Specificity. The more specific a CSS rule is, the higher priority. For example, ID selector is more specific than a class selector, and a class selector is more specific than an element selector. Let's put that to test. To repeat what I just said, the more specific a CSS rule is, the higher its priority. ID selectors, add that as a note, ID selectors are more specific than class selectors, and class selectors are more specific than, H1 select for element selectors rather. So, for example, let's say, so this H1, particular H1, I made a class name of main header. Since to write classes, if you are writing two classes, you can write multiple classes in your class attributes. If you want to write main header and you write it this way, it's going to assume that main is a class of its own and header is a class of its own. If you want to write main header, if I go now and write main header, it's not apply. Let's put it that way. So you either connect them with a hyphen, underscore, or you can decide to use camel case. There are a lot of cases. If you can drop resource for cases, any of the sub method that on the call, I'll appreciate. So for this, we want to just connect them with our dash or Wi-Fi, whichever. So if we come here and we set, what was the name of our class again? Main header. Set the main header. We set it to, let's change the color. So maybe a red and we save. And then we come back to our HTML. We can see that this first H1 is now taking the color of red. Even though we specify that on all H1, the color should be this green color. That is what I mean by specificity. If you apply the same color, you apply, you have a class now to this H1, and you have, you want to select the, sorry guys, I got thrown off a bit, rain is falling. So if you call the same, property in a particular element, you have your class and then you have your element. Classes are more specific than element styles. So keep that in mind. IDs have the strongest, followed by classes before, elements. So classes are less specific than IDs, but they are more specific than element selectors. The rain is falling. I don't know if you can still hear me. Am I still audible?
Yeah, we can hear
Can you?
you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ravi. Um, so that's that. This is to note that inline styles to an element with the style tag. Remember what inline styles was like this. Have the highest specificity of all. So inline styles are more specific than even the ID class. They are more specific. That is why most times some people still make use of inline styling, because if you write it here, like, it is very specific. It's more specific than whatever you write in your external CSS. Talking about other specificity now. Let's talk about order of appearance. So if two rules have the same specificity, the one that appear last in the CSS file will be applied. So let
Sorry, we can't hear you very well. I guess the rain is not affecting or something.
You can't hear you, man. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. She just left. She left. She-
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Feeling here too.
So, so while we wait for her, I think she's trying to reconnect back. Does anyone have any question on what she has taught so far?
So can you please reschedule the class because of the rain?
Yeah, I will come. I'll let just wait for her for like 5 minutes and see if she's can connect
So
back
I can
before
see
we
us.
can. I think she's trying to connect back, so let's just wait for her before we make the we
Okay,
reschedule
so
the
we'll wait
class.
for her. Yes, we'll wait for her.
So
Yes.
so you guys should tell me how is the today class? Are you guys is it insightful for you guys? Like you guys have any issues so far or you are catching up?
Yeah, the thing is, personally, I guess maybe this is my own first time of using CSX, so it's kind of complicated on like the HTML class. Maybe I have a basic idea of the HTML on like the
Ye-
CSS or something. So I guess
Yes,
that's
the
just the only
CSS.
problem.
Yes, the CSS kind of complicated. Yes,
Okay,
I'm lost too. I'm lost. I'm lost.
okay.
So we need a screenshot.
Okay, you need screenshot of what she did, but I think
Yes,
we'll
so
work on that.
that we can repeat now. Yes,
Yeah,
unlike
I think I think we'll work on a way that as we are going further, every class ended, we will create a GitHub repo so that we'll be sharing each class, whatever the instructor did after each class. Then you guys will just
yeah,
go
we
there and
wanted to imitate what she did. We wanted to imitate what she did. To imitate her. That's
yeah, yeah,
what we
yeah.
need.
I will
Yes,
talk to her. We'll share it with you guys.
yes. Without the screenshot, we can't do it. Yes.
No, you can actually do it.
Because because of the data, we're going to save data. We are going to watch the video on YouTube. That's at least 3 hours, 2 hours.
Yes,
So with the
you know what? You
screenshot,
know what?
it's
Sorry.
going to help us a lot.
Okay, okay. I will ask her to
If you can understand me.
I will tell her to take a screenshot too.
Okay, sir. Thank
So
you.
my suggestion here is that you know for you guys to you guys would really do us a huge favor if you can go through all those resources and try to learn most of the tasks like HTML after the class or when you guys have free time, you can just navigate through some of the resources that
No,
we shared and learn some
we're,
new things.
we're trying
You
our
guys,
best to master the HTML. We're trying our best to master the HTML, but it's going to take us 1 day to master the HTML. So it's kind of difficult to us. So it's kind of bulky. The HTML and CSS all together. You don't understand me.
no. You see, learning process is gradual. Is a gradual process. You don't have
She
to rush.
finished she finished HTML 1 day while CSS. So I don't
No,
know
it's
when I can make it.
so it's not like as if she finished it. She will still come back to it. She's just everything she's doing now. She's just giving you guys an overview of the CSS and
For me, it's
HTML.
like the basics, right? But gosh, it's just long for us, very long. Like for us,
Okay,
there
okay,
is new to it. I'm new to it.
okay. No wala. And the our one of our mentors is going to share a Google document for you guys to insert your sincere review your on the bootcamp so that it will really help us if you guys state all of these issues in there so that we will know how to serve you guys better.
Okay, so we'll see about this.
So we'll drop the link later in the day so that you guys should really interact. Speak your mind. Don't worry. Just say it whichever way you it's in your mind so that
For
we
me, let's see how for you.
be
For
able
me,
to
let's say you guys are retrying. You guys are retrying. You guys are retrying.
thank you.
Everything is clear, but you guys are a little bit fast. A little bit
No,
fast.
yes, we are we are going to work on you guys. So you taking making a review on the document that we are going to share later will really help us because we are serving you here so that it will be better for us to know how you guys want our teaching method to
So
go so
after
that we serve you guys.
this visual class, so after this visual class, are you guys going to host a physical class?
Yes, for now this bootcamp is currently
Visual,
visual
right?
for now. So
I
if
don't
there is
know.
going to be any physical meeting, any physical class, we'll let you know. But we are definitely going to organize a physical meeting after the bootcamp. That one is sure.
Yes. For me, I'm living here in Kaduna. I'm living here in Kaduna.
Yeah, that would be good because there is even an hackathon after the bootcamp. So you guys should really take this serious so that you could win something at the end of the day. And also, there's this what is it called that she joined the onboarding call after the bootcamp. There is some internship for the best students.